The Westfield Youth Assistance Program is the most important, far-reaching, and exciting program of everything we're doing. Because it's all about P, V, and C. It's about prevention, volunteerism, and community, and it's all about our children. We started out several years ago. We saw a need, a whole gap. We saw children that had never been into the juvenile system, but were surely headed that way, and there didn't seem to be any comprehensive way to work with these children. We didn't know how many there were. We didn't know if the community would respond, and we started working on this about 3 years ago. We worked with a lot of the social service agencies. We called in the faith-based community, worked with our schools, and we tried to find out if there's, are there that many kids that way? Is this being done other places? We hadn't heard of anything like this. An incredible man named Judge Steve Nation, who is our judge in Superior Court 1 in Noblesville, who handles the vast majority of our juvenile cases. And he and I got together, and this is something he's been dreaming about all his life, because he's been a prosecutor for 20 years. He's been juvenile court, mainly juvenile judge for almost 20 years, and it just appalls him to see so many young kids and families, semblances of families in his courtroom. We worked with our schools. We were very, very fortunate, and Judge Nation was able to extract a probation officer from the county to work with us to become a prevention officer. One of the things I didn't realize was, did you know that we have in our schools today that we have resident probation officers in our schools? Mm-mm. We didn't back in Northwestern High School in 1969, did we? It's like they come to the schools now. They're that busy. We were able to take a probation officer the county was paying for. We gave her an office here in the city of Westfield, and the city of Westfield provided this probation officer turned prevention officer with an assistant. We then, working with our police department and our schools, began to identify children ages 3 through 17 that we would be determined to be at risk. At risk meant something's wrong in their life. In most cases, many cases, they're disruptive in school. Most all of our referrals come from the education system. Some from the police department. Some from just the general public. It just means the kid has not done anything illegal, but it's a matter of time. And we found out that there's no place comprehensively to do something to get these kids and their families turned around. And the prevention officer that we had, she began to scour the country. And again, she was just like Judge Nation. This has just been a dream of hers. She scoured the nation to try to find something, and we found one place in suburban Detroit that had been doing something like this for over 50 years. But the question becomes, well then why isn't it being done? Well, several reasons. First, most people think we don't have that big a problem here. Secondly, if we do, somebody's taking care of it, right? Well, and there just aren't that many problems. And the government's taking care of it. Wrong. They are not. And the beauty of it is, this community is. And the system works like this. The schools and the police, they refer a child who's at risk. Most of those children are disruptive in their classwork, in their classrooms. And what really struck me was a young counselor at Washington Wood School one day. He said, "Mayor, if we can make this work, our teachers can get back to teaching." I happened to talk to an IPS teacher last night after the debate. Matter of fact, and he was enthralled with this program, and he wanted to know. He said, you know what? I have nearly 40% of the kids in my classes are disruptive. This is IPS. 40%. He came up with that figure. What we do is we take these children and their families, and it's voluntary.
So what kind of reception do you get from the parents? Because it seems like, to me, that's maybe where some of this disruptiveness stems from.
It very much is. And I'll give you some statistics in a minute that'll kind of answer that question. The child and their family, if they cooperate, are evaluated. And this is done by Tricia Akers, our prevention officer, and her assistant. And they take these children, and different things are suggested to get them back on track. Some of them are very, very simple. Just a pair of shoes to play soccer, engaged in a after-school activity. We have one man who's put together an entire pack of Cub Scouts who are nothing but referrals from this program, and he does it by himself. We have kids that need food. I mean, they need medicine. Some of these kids need a week's camp in the summer. Most of these kids need attention. Most of them need a friend. Some of them just need tutoring. And ultimately, some of these children need tutors. And we have set up a full tutoring program where our tutors are trained, background checked, are granted immunity from the courts, and we've been running that now for a year and a half. But let me give you some of the statistics. I think we even have some recent statistics that will be quite enlightening, if I may. We've been running this program for a year and a half now, mostly referrals from our school. In a year and a half, in our little city of Westfield, referrals, 242 children. 74 are actively involved in the program right now. 30 are pending because we haven't been able to get to them. 58 have been deemed successful, and we track them all. Because of cooperation with the schools, we can see their attendance, we can see their grades, and we keep track of our success rate. And it's voluntary. I mean, they have to agree to this. 7 have been unsuccessful. 1 we had to refer on to the prosecutor. In other words, they did something beyond the law. And 72, to answer your question, declined involvement. So of the 242, 72 families declined. Now, several of those have come back. I can tell you that. I don't have them. Because well, they thought they could handle it on their own. What we ultimately try to do is get to the entire family. A lot of them are single families. No doubt about it. But what Tricia does is draws on the community to help take care of these kids. We've got some Bible study groups and some book study groups and just independent citizens that donate things. We donate some money. We do the Elatai Ball every June that we hold as kind of our city social event. The proceeds go to that. It's all funded locally. It's run by an independent board of directors, working with the county courts, and each, we have our own 501, whatever all that stuff is, tax deductible board of directors that runs this here in Westfield. And we just went through, Judge Nation wrote legislation just this session to formally insert the prevention officer under the juvenile court system. And we were successful in having that passed. It passed the Senate last week, 49-0. And it was fun because it had already passed the House, but it passed the House before the Democrats skedaddled. So we had one of the few bills that had actually passed the House, and when it came back over the Senate, everybody loaded on our bill to take it back over. It was fun. But the program is now being developed to take it to the entire county right now, to every school system in the county. Working under the juvenile court system, with each community having its own administration board, because every community will be entirely different. And we're down at the legislature, and they love this program, and you know, both sides of the Democrats, Republicans want to sign on as sponsors, because wow, you know, what can you do? Help kids. The next question they'll ask you is, okay, have you been to Ways and Means for your budgeting? It's like, well, we don't need any money. And they look at me like, wait a minute, you're a mayor? Hold on, how much money do you need? We don't need any money. What do you mean? It's all the community funds. It just doesn't take much money. And they look at me like I'm an alien.
What are you doing at
You
the
signed
state
that bill
house?
twice.
Oh yeah, and that's the beauty of it. It's all about the community helping its own kids. And the outpouring of volunteerism has just been incredible. And the part about taking it to these other towns is we've been so lucky here to get our police cooperating with our schools, cooperating with the city and with the county. And that's why it's not done. People say, how? It sounds simple, because you can't get all those agencies to cooperate. As strange as that may sound, you just can't. And we've been so fortunate here that our schools have cooperated, and the city and the police, and that's what's made it work. And because the schools don't cooperate, I really thought the schools would be very, that legal, we can't legal, you know, boy. When we talked to the counselors, they wanted something like this right here. Right now, today, the estimated cost of putting a child into the juvenile system is about $140 a day. I think the average cost ends up, with everything included, if a juvenile is in the detention system for whatever the stay is, it ends up being about $55,000. The best we can tell right now, this program, in working with the agency in Michigan, costs about $2 a day. And that's why the county commissioners just told us last week, hey, show us how we can take this to the rest of the county, because we need to cut back on our costs of the juvenile system. How do you put a dollar figure on bringing a kid and turning them around from becoming a ward of the county to making him a productive citizen here in Indiana?